In the previous classes, we have discussed regarding what are the different physical and what are the different chemical characteristics. We have covered only one chemical characteristics in your water treatment, right? So in the previous class, we have discussed regarding the what are the different physical characteristics of water. Okay, so in that we have discussed regarding the color, right? Or physical characteristics we were discussing regarding the physical, chemical, and the biological characteristics of water. Okay, now in this, we have discussed regarding the physical characteristics. In physical characteristics, we have discussed what is turbidity, why turbidity is important, and the turbidity is measured in which is the unit to measure the turbidity. Then we have seen why turbidity is caused, then how the color is going to affect when you are going to drink the water, or how the physical parameter with respect to the color is, then what are the different things which are important in the taste and odor, what due to what the taste and odor is going to come, and what is its unit we have discussed, then temperature we have discussed, right? And also we have discussed regarding the solids. In the previous class we have discussed something on the solids also. There are the different types of solids will be there. That is your total dissolved solids, total suspended solid, total settlable solids, volatile and solids, and the fixed solids, right? So this is regarding this we have discussed in the previous class. Now, in today's class, we will be discussing a very important aspect of water is that is with respect to the pH. Now, when it comes to a pH is going to decide, right, how your water quality is, right? Whether it is going to be the acidic in nature, or whether it is going to be the basic in nature, right? So, what is pH, right? pH is nothing but it is the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration present in water. Okay, it is going to be the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. The higher the values of pH, right, means the lower the hydrogen ion concentration, and thus it represents the alkaline water and vice versa. Okay, now as you know that the water is going to have, it is a combination of H and the OH minus ion, right? The concentration of both these ions is, it is going to be the neutral when, right, when the water is going to have 10 raised to minus 7 moles per later. Okay, now we will understand what is this pH, right? We will understand what is this pH. Okay, now when we, this is your pH scale, right? This is your pH scale, right? Now the water is going to have, now what is your pH is nothing but it is nothing but it is an negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. It is a negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. Now if your water, your pH scale will be present from the 0 to 14, right? Your pH scale will be from the 0 to 14, right? Now, if we consider the neutral pH when, right, when the pH is equal to 7, then we consider it is going to be the neutral in range. Now, what is this neutral? What is this acidic? What is this alkaline? Right? This is going to be very, very important aspect with regard to water. Okay. Now, if you consider the water, right? If you consider the water as it is, you know that it is going to have the formula H2O. That means it is going to have the H plus ion also and the OH minus ion also. Now, if we are having more amount of these OH minus ion, right? If we are going to have more amount of these OH minus ion, then we will call it as an basic in nature. If we are going to have more amount of this H plus ion, we call it as an acidic in nature. For example, now what is as acid mean? The acid is nothing but the value whose, it is nothing but the pH of the solution whose pH is going to range in between 1 to 7, right? It is nothing but it is an, what is acid is nothing but it is a solution pH is whose pH is going to lie in between your 0 to 7, right? Then we call it as an the acidic water or the acidic solution. If your pH, right, of the solution is in between your 0 to 7, then we call it as an acidic. Okay. we call it as an acidic if the pH is going to lie in between 0 to 7. Now, or we call it as an the solution who is going to have more amount of hydrogen ion concentration. See here after 7, see we have written increasing hydrogen concentration, right? The solution who is going to have more amount of H plus ion concentration, we call it as an acid, or the solution whose pH is lies between 0 to 7 or say 1 to 7, we call it as an the acidic solutions. Now, example for acidic solution, we are having H2SO4, HCl, right? All these will be an example of your acid because H2, right? HCl, H2SO4, right? KNO3, all these are nothing but your acidic, right? These are acidic in nature. So its pH is in between, it is 1 to 7, okay, or 0 to 7, right? Now, if we consider, see, as you come downside over here, right, if I consider the pH solution 1, right, it is more acidic in nature as compared to 2. 1 is more acidic. As you come down over to 7, from 1 to 7, right, what will happen? Right, what will happen? Your value, it is the concentration of that particular acid, it is going to increase from 0 to 7. If you are coming from 0 to 7, right, so consider it as a pH of 5. So it is having a lesser acidic, right? 6 lesser acidic, 7 it is neutral, 1 it is concentrated acid, 2 it is concentrated acid, 3 it is say somewhat in between, 4 it is little bit less concentrated, 5 again reduced concentration. So when you come to the number near to 1, right, or 0, it is a strong acid. 1, sorry, there was an interruption in between, right? Now we will consider, now we were discussing regarding the pH when it is at a lower ranges, right, from 0 to 7, then it is a strong acid. If it is near to 7, then it is an the neutral in range, right? It is now in neutral in range. Near to 7, it is say near to the neutral, 7 is neutral. Now, if the solution is going to have more amount of OH ions, if the solution is going to have more amount of hydroxyl ion, then we call it as a base, or it is an alkaline in nature. So alkaline, when it is going to have, then we will be giving an example: NaOH, KOH, right? All these are CaCO3. All these are nothing but your the bases. It is going to have, it is going to tell you that all these are the base. So solution whose pH is going to lie above 7 and till 14, we call it as a strong base. We call it as a strong base. From 7 to 14, we call it as a strong base, right? 14, we call it as a strong base. 13, it is concentration is reduced. 12, it is concentration is going to reduce. 11, it is reduced, right? 10, again, it is still reduced. 9, still reduced. 8, it is near to the neutral, and 7, we call it as a neutral. So when your concentration of hydrogen ion concentration is going to increase, right, from 7 to 14, 7 to 14, if any solution whose concentration is there in between pH 7 to 14, we call it as an the base. Okay, so here this is how we are going to have the pH scale. So our drinking water should be having the pH in between 6.5 to 8.5. It should not exceed, right, 6 less than 6.5, 8.5. Okay, if it is going to exceed any of these values, right, your water will become either sour in taste, or either it is going to bitter in taste. Okay, so your pH is also going to impart some amount of a taste to the water. Okay, so your drinking water should be in between, right, 6.5 to 7.5 pH. Okay, now this pH is not going to have any units. Okay, pH is only going to have the numerical number. It is not going to have the any units. So you remember, as you go away from your 7, right? If it is in the acidic range 0 to 7, right? If it is having a 0 pH or 1 pH, we call it as a strong acid. If it is reaching 14, we call it as a strong base. Okay, so the pH is going to be very, very important aspect when it comes to your the water quality. So the pH of a drinking water, it should be in between 6.5 to 8.5. Is it clear? Is it clear regarding pH?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there are different methods are there in order to determine the pH. Okay, there are different methods are there in order to determine pH. Well, just it is actually it is not there in your this thing, but again you will be studying this thing in your when you are going to study your environmental engineering lab. Okay. Now, pH test you can have it by the litmus paper. Okay. Now, what is that litmus paper? Right. The pH you are going to have by litmus paper. Okay. So now this is how you are going to test the pH of a water sample with having the litmus paper. You are going to test it. Just a minute. I'll be explaining this. So this is what you are how you are going to check the water whether it is going to have an acidic nature or the basic nature, right? So here we are going to have the pH range. Okay, here we are going to test the pH of a solution by using the litmus paper. So it is an approximate method of a determination of pH. So pH scale is from what it is from 0 to 14. So 0 to 7 is a neutral, right? 0 to 7 is an, sorry, it is an acidic range. In between 0 to 6.99, it is an acidic range. And it is 7, it becomes neutral. And from 8 to 14, it becomes the basic. Okay. So what is the reason for having a alkaline nature in water? What is the reason? Alkaline nature. What is the reason? In order to have alkaline nature, what makes its alkaline? What makes the solution alkaline? Can anybody? Yes. What makes the sample or the solution alkaline? Prajwal?
Yes, sir.
What makes the solution alkaline? Which concentration, if it is more, then it will become alkaline.
Hardness is more.
OH minus ion.
Yes, OH minus ion. H plus ion, what it will make?
Acidic.
Acidic.
Very good. Okay, fine. Now, this is your pH scale. It lies from 0 to 14. If it is 0 to 6.99, it is an acidic range. Then 7, when the moment it is going to touch 7, right, it is the neutral in range. Then the 8 to 14, it is basic in range. So our drinking water should be in having the range of 6.5 to 8.5. Now, this is your litmus paper. When you are going to dip this into the solution, right, if you see, the color is going to change. The color of that litmus paper has been changed. So it shows that it is having red color. So this particular litmus paper, we are going to have the comparison between these all these colors. So when we have dipped it, it has turned into the red color. That red color signifies that it is going to have which nature? Yes, this
Acidic.
red, it signifies it is an acidic range. Now this blue color will signify,
Basic.
Alkaline.
yes, blue color signifies,
Alkaline.
Alkaline or basic.
yes, it is going to have bit alkaline range. Now violet color signifies
More
violet
basic.
color. It is concentrated basic. This represents the concentrated basics, right? And this represents it is having acidic in nature, right? And blue color, right? It is blue color is going to signify it is the moderate basic in color. So after removing it from your after removing it from the your water sample, right? Whatever color it is going to come over here we are going to match that particular color. Wherever the color in any of the scale it is going to match, it is going to tell you that that particular water is going to have that particular range wherever the color is going to match. Now this is matching with purple, so it is telling the pH is 12. Now this is matching somewhere to in between 9 to 10, so it is going to tell approximate method. Now this color is somewhere it is reddish in nature, so it is going to tell that it is going to be the strong acid. Okay, now this is how your litmus paper test is going to help in order to determine the acidity to the water. Now electromeric method, there is one more method where you are going to determine the pH of a sample by your electrometric method, right? Or you can say conductometry method. Okay, electrometric method. This is what the electrometric method is. You will be using your electrode. From that electrode, you are going to get the pH of a solution. The moment you are going to dip into water, you are going to get the how the pH of the water, how much is the pH of that particular water sample is, that you are going to get it from your electrometric method. Okay, so this is how you are going to get the pH. This is what your pH meter, right? This is what your pH meter. So this is how you are going to determine the pH. You are going to dip one electrode into the water, and after dipping the electrode into water, you are going to get the pH of that particular sample on your display board. So whatever the display you are going to get, that is nothing but the pH of that particular water sample. So before doing this, right, you need to have the calibration of the instrument. That will be explained to you in detail when you will be coming to the labs. Okay, so now we will discuss regarding the next aspect, that is the hardness of water. Right, now your hardness of water is of two type. Right, your hardness is of two type. Right, when it comes to the hardness or hardness removal, that we are in that case we are going to discuss in detail regarding hardness. But according to you, what is hardness? According to you, what is hardness? Yes, can anybody tell me what is hardness? Yes, can anybody tell me what is hard water? Please be quick. I don't want to waste time. We will finish this hardness today, so that again the other parameters are there that I need to discuss. Please tell me what is hard water. You should know it. You have studied this in your schools, right? What is hard water? Nihal, what is hard water? Nihal, what is hard water? Arud, what is hard water? Yes. Who knows?
Sir, for example, which the water which do not pass from a thin cloth, for example.
No, no. Arud?
It contains high
calcium
minerals.
and magnesium.
Yes. It is going to contain
High minerals.
high minerals. What minerals? High minerals means what minerals? Yes. Okay.
Salts.
Now
Salts and impurities.
we will see.
Calcium and magnesium content, sir.
Yes. In a layman's language, we say that whenever the water is going to be mixed with the soap, right? If it is not giving you much lather, right, or much foam, if it is not giving you, then it represents, in a layman's language, it represents the hard water. Suppose you are mixing a water with the soap, Okay, now if it is not a lather formation or foam formation is not there, then that particular water is a hard water. And if it is forming sufficient amount of lather, then we call it as an soft water. Then we call it as a soft water. This is an in a layman's term.
Soft water.
Okay, yeah. So when water is going to have, this is in a layman's term, we call it as an the hard. Okay, okay, what I have told, I was telling when the soap was mixed with water, if it is not forming too much of a lather, then it is an hard water. And if it is giving you too much or the required amount of foam, then it is called as a soft water. If it is not forming foam, then it is an hard water. If it is forming sufficient amount of foam, then it is called as a soft water. Okay, now this is in a layman's term. Now we will see what is hard water technically, right? What makes the water hard, right? Now, the water is consisting of, say, calcium and magnesium associated with sulfate, nitrate, and chloride, and calcium carbonate or bicarbonate or magnesium carbonate and bicarbonate. It is going to make the water hard. Okay. Now, if the water is going to have, right, the salts of calcium and magnesium associated with sulfate, nitrate, and chloride or carbonate or bicarbonate, right? If calcium and magnesium of sulfate, nitrate, chloride, your carbonate and bicarbonate, if it is there in the water, then it makes the water hard, right? It makes the water hard. Okay, it is caused by, as here it is saying, it is caused by the certain dissolved salts of calcium and magnesium, which is going to form a scum with the soap, reduce the formation of foam, which helps in removing the dirt from the clothes. Okay. Now, this is what the hard water is. The hardness is going to come to water due to the calcium and magnesium associated with sulfate, nitrate, chloride, carbonate, and bicarbonate of calcium and magnesium. So, this makes the water hard. Right. Now, this hardness is whenever you can see, whenever you can you if you are going to have the hard water, right? Now it is going to give you the two bit kind of a problem, such as the water, the food that has been prepared with the hard water, it will be less tasty, right? And it is going to form, if you are going to wash your clothes with a too much amount of hard water, then it is going to give the white scales will be there on your clothes. If you are going to use in your boiler, then scale formation will be there in your boilers. So this is how your hard water is going to get affected. Now, there are two types of hardness are there in your water, right? One is temporary hardness and one is permanent hardness. Now, we will see what is a temporary hardness if, right? What is a temporary hardness, right? If your water is going to be associated with, right? If your water is going to get associated with, right, calcium and magnesium carbonate and bicarbonate, it imparts the temporary hardness. If the water is associated with calcium and magnesium carbonates and bicarbonates, then we call it as a temporary hard water. That means the hardness can be removed by boiling. If the water is associated with calcium and magnesium of carbonate and bicarbonate, then we call it as a temporary hard water. And this particular hardness, it can be removed by boiling. Now, what is permanent hardness? If the water is going to have the calcium and magnesium, right? If the water is going to have the calcium and magnesium associated with the sulfate, nitrate, and chloride, we call it as an hard, your permanent hardness. The hardness can be removed by using the zeolite, soda, and lime. Now I'll tell you what is temporary hardness. Now, calcium and magnesium, if it is associated with carbonates or bicarbonates, it is temporary hardness. Okay. Now, if the calcium and magnesium, if is associated with chlorides, nitrate, right? Nitrate, NO3, NO2, right? Okay, then or sulfates, yeah, sulfates, SO4, right? SO4 and all, if it is associated with it, then it makes the water permanent hardness. So you need to remember this, okay? It is going to be the permanent hardness. Permanent hardness, right? If a calcium and magnesium is associated with carbonate and bicarbonates, then it is going to impart the temporary hardness. If it is associated with chloride, nitrate, and sulfates, it is going to impart the permanent hardness to the water. Okay. Now there are we will discuss regarding hardness of water in detail. See here, it is mentioned, right? It is again your pH is again it is related with your hardness of water, how that we are going to discuss in detail when we are going to remove the hardness of water. Okay, so how the hardness can be removed, that we are going to study in our further part of our water treatment. So we will not discuss regarding the hardness more, right? Not here, but we are going to discuss regarding the hardness of water in the upcoming classes, right? Now we will discuss regarding something on the chloride. Okay. Now chlorides are generally present in water in the form of sodium chloride, right? Or chlorides are generally present in the water in the form of sodium chloride, that is NaCl. Your seawater, if you see, right, it is having more amount of chloride content in it. That is the reason why it is going to give you the salty taste, right? Your hardness will also give you. It is also related with pH. Now chloride is also going to impart the salty taste to the water, right? The chloride, if it is there in the water, it is going to impart the salty taste to the water. And if the concentration, if the chloride concentration is more than 250 mg per liter is there in water, then it will makes the water salty in taste, and the acceptability of such kind of a water is going to be get reduced when you drink such a water. If it is going to have more than 250 mg per liter of chloride content in it, then the water will become salty in taste, and the acceptability is going to be get removed. So will be get reduced. Now here the chloride can be measured by the titrometric method, that is by using the silver nitrate we are going to use it, and by using the potassium chromate we are going to determine how much will be there, how much the your chloride content will be there in the water, that we are going to determine. So chloride is basically it is going to impart the salty taste to the water. Okay, so this is when you take a seawater, right? When you then you can find the salt in the seawater. Then we will see the nitrogen content. Okay, the nitrogen content will also be there in the water, right? The nitrogen content will also it will be there in the water. So it is present in the different form, such as free ammonia, albuminide ammonia, nitrites, and nitrate. Okay, so free ammonia indicates very fast stage of decomposition. Okay, and the fresh, this is going to indicate the nitrogen is also responsible for the fresh water pollution. Okay, now if it is nitrogen content, why it comes in water is due to the decomposition of organic matter. Okay, if decomposition of organic matter will be there in the water, then we are going to have the nitrogen content in the water. Now the nitrites indicate the partly decomposed organic matter, and the nitrate indicate the presence of fully oxidized organic matter, right, prior to the pollution. Now in potable water, the free ammonia should not be more than 0.15 mg per liter. Okay, it should not be more than 0.15 mg per liter in water. Okay, and the nitrogen content may remain in the form of nitrates, but it should not exceed more than 45 ppm, right? It should not be more than 45 ppm, right? If it is more than 55 ppm, then, right, then what will happen is it is going to cause blue baby diseases in the infants. Now, what is this blue baby disease? Actually, the nitrates will act with the hemoglobin which is present in the blood, and it is going to impart, right, when the nitrate content in the water, if it is going to react with the blood, right, the human blood, then it is going to impart, right, it is going to the color, right, the skin color is going to be imparted into the blue color, right, and thus making them ill and extreme cases. Then if the nitrate content, if it is more, if the person is going to have, right, if more than 45 mg per liter of water he is going to drink, then nitrate content will enter into his body, it is going to mix with his blood, and the your color, skin color will turn into blue. If it is continuously, if it is happening, then the person may die also, if it is continuously, if it is exceeding the limit. Nitrate is measured by the measured either by reduction to ammonia or matching the colors produced by the phenol disulfonic acid. Okay. Now, this is how your skin will look if you are having continuously having the more quantity of nitrate, right? More quantity of nitrate, we call it as an methylglobomania, right? Okay. So if it is going to have more amount of your nitrate into the body. Now, we will see this regarding, there are some microbial characteristics of water will also be there, that we will be studying regarding this in detail in our next class. Okay. So chemical characteristics, in addition to this, right, in addition to this, there are some, again, there are some of the chemical characteristics are there, right? So the water will be, if your chloride content is there, nitrogen content is there, then pH is there, dissolved solids is there. In addition to this, we will be having the biochemical oxygen demand. What is a dissolved oxygen, right? In addition to these chemical characteristics, right, we are going to have the dissolved oxygen. Now, what is dissolved oxygen, right? If oxygen which is present in the dissolved form in water, right, if the oxygen, if it is present in the dissolved form in water, then we call it as an DO, right? So if we will see, right, we will see now. This is what your oxygen bubbles, right? This is your oxygen bubbles which are present in water. Okay. Now, this bubbles will indicate that the oxygen content is there in the water. See, when we are going to, we will see, we will open this particular image. I think this image is visible to you clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, here, this is your atmosphere. This is your atmosphere, and this is your water level. This is your atmosphere, and this is your water level, right? When the oxygen content is there in the atmosphere, when the oxygen content is there in the atmosphere, since this upper layer of water, right, this upper layer of water will be continuously in touch with the atmospheric oxygen. So here, what will happen is, here more amount of oxygen you are going to find it. Here more amount of oxygen will be finding out. Okay, now oxygen which is present in the dissolved form, that is the oxygen which is completely mixed with the water, we call it as the dissolved oxygen. In order to have the survival of aquatic animals, right, we want this dissolved oxygen content to be in between 4 to 8 mg per liter. If we want the oxygen level, right, if we want to have the aquatic animals in water, right, they also require some amount of oxygen in order to survive, right? So if the water is having the dissolved oxygen in the range in between 4 to 8 mg per liter, then these aquatic animals will easily survive. If DO content is getting reduced, right, then there is an death of the aquatic animals. Now we will show you, right? I will show you how the aquatic animals will die due to the less DO. The image is not clear. Now you might have seen in certain of the cases what had happened is, right, near to the banks or near to your water, up to the water, your above water level. Sometimes you may see there is the fishes are going to die. There are two reasons why the fishes are going to die. Either there is some toxic element that has mixed with water, that is the one reason, or there is an the oxygen level it is present in water, it has gone down. So there are two reasons why these fishes are going to die in water. Okay, so if we want to have the survival of the aquatic animals, then we want this DO to be in the range of 4 to 8 mg per liter. Now the DO content is also going to tell you regarding the quality of water, right? DO content is also going to tell you regarding the quality of water. Now, how it is important? How it is important? That we will see. Okay. Now, we will, if your DO content, right? The DO content is related with your temperature, right? The DO content is going to be related with your temperature. At lower temperature, more amount of DO content will be there, right? And at higher temperature, less amount of DO content will be there. Okay. Now, how it is going to be related is, right? If the water at 0 degree temperature, your DO content will be around say 10 to 14 mg per liter. When the temperature is going to increase, right, what is going to happen? The DO content is going to be get reduced. Now, the DO is going to, how it is going to vary with respect to temperature. Now, when water is there, right, when water is there in water is there, you will be having some amount of microbial content also with it. Now, the microbial content, its activity is going to be get increases at a higher temperature. So it is also going to consume more amount of water. It is also going to consume more amount of oxygen. Then what will happen? The DO content is going to get reduced in water if it is more amount of microbes are there. Okay, and if water is not going to be polluted, right? If the water, if it is polluted, then more amount of microbes will be there. When more amount of microbes will be there, right? More amount of oxygen they are going to consume in order to their survival, right? If more amount of microbes are there, it represents that the water is contaminated and it is going, the DO content is going to be get reduced. Okay, regarding this DO, right? There are we will be studying regarding this DO in tomorrow's class in detail. In detail, we are going to study regarding DO in the tomorrow's class. Now we will be having the surveying class at 1:30, right? We will exactly meet at 1:30 and we will finish regarding the module 1. Okay, so in today's class, we have studied regarding, right? In the chemical characteristics, we have studied regarding pH, we have studied regarding the different types of solids, the chloride, and then we have studied regarding nitrogen. And in tomorrow's class, we will cover up regarding DO in detail. Today, I have given you a bit, say information about DO. In tomorrow's class, we are going to study regarding DO, because why I'm telling regarding DO in detail is this is very important aspect as far as your water quality is going to be concerned. Okay, so we will be going to discuss regarding this DO in detail tomorrow, right? Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts regarding the four chemical characteristics?
No,
Yes.
sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so we are going to discuss regarding DO in the next class, right, in detail. in detail. DO plus your biological characteristics we are going to study in detail. So we'll meet for the survey class at exactly 1:30 p.m. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. We'll end the session over here. Thank you.